This is written between Philip O'Donoghue in the Attorney General's office and somebody in the, I believe, the Taoiseach's office. So it says, Secretary, following our recent conversation about the preparation of vellum copies of government orders and their insertion in the government minutes, I discussed the matter with Mr. Philip O'Donoghue. Mr. O'Donoghue agrees that the document at present inserted in the minutes is not the order made by the government, but a copy thereof. He feels, however, that the procedure which we have adopted is not likely to cause us any embarrassment, save in very exceptional circumstances. That is, if it were necessary to produce an original order in court. That this could happen is possible, but having regard to the terms of the Documentary Evidence Act, which provides that copies of orders printed by the stationery office or copies certified by the Secretary to the government or other authorized officer are prima facie evidence, it would be extremely difficult to insist on the production of an original order in court. Bear this in mind, and I said, yeah. In order to do this, the person seeking the order would have to satisfy the court that the stationery office or certified copies were not genuine or were in some sense faulty. And in Mr. O'Donoghue's opinion, this would be a very troublesome task. Since speaking to Mr. O'Donoghue, I have given the matter further consideration, and I feel that this is a matter about which we cannot afford to take any risks. Although the procedure now followed has been in operation with occasional modifications for nearly 20 years and has not given rise to any trouble, it is not prudent, in my opinion, to take any chances on an issue of such importance, and I propose that for the future we shall insert in the government minutes the actual copy of every order made, signed by the Taoiseach or whoever presides something at the government meeting at which such order is made. There's only one other paragraph there. I'm not going to read it. It's not that important. So again, here now, in relation to that, you see here, this was what was produced in the Supreme Court to me in May, I believe the 7th of May, 2019, saying that, oh, Mr. Clohessy, no, they produced it on the 5th of May. Mr. Clohessy, this is from the book entitled Statutory Rules, Orders, and Regulations, 1922-1938. And so they handed me this book. Oh, be very careful, Mr. Clohessy, don't damage it, blah, blah, right? Okay, so they said, look, if you see here, there's an extract here. This is in the book. And I said, well, this is not an original. Show me the original. Because what's in the National Archives is a draft. And it's not even filled in. And the historian says they don't have the original. So this is what they're using, in other words, as an excuse, as a cover-up. Okay? So, now, I'll take a break there. Okay, so this lady asked a question in relation to would everything basically be invalid from 1924. No, not everything is invalid. a lot of acts that were made under the Irish Free State are valid, but there are a lot that are not valid. But since 1963 onwards, all bills, all voting, everything is invalid because the Electoral Act is invalid because it was only brought into force by a statutory instrument signed by a minister. Minister has no power because the Ministers and Secretaries Act is invalid. Okay, that affects treaties. It affects everything that happened during the COVID. It affects the vulture funds, everything. So, what's important is going back to this lady's question is that in 1936, on the 11th of December, 1936. One day after King Edward abdicated the throne, that left a vacuum of crown power. Okay? And as I explained to you previously, when a bill was passed by the Executive Council of the Irish Free State, it had to get the assent from the king, and that assent then was passed on to the Governor General. There was 3 Governor Generals, Timothy Michael Healy, Owen McNeil, and the man here from Kildare, Mr. Buckley. Okay, the shopkeeper, I believe, from Naas. So, sure enough, De Valera, being a lawyer, whether you like the man or you don't like the man is immaterial, because this is a fact. He did this country a great service on the 11th of December 1936. He took the ball on the hop as part of the Commonwealth, which no other person in the whole Commonwealth had the common sense to do what he did. He got rid of the crown very easily. Okay? Right here, I'm just going to turn this around. On the 10th of, I'll read this out. I, Edward the Eighth of Great Britain, Ireland, and the British dominions beyond the seas, King, Emperor of India, do hereby declare my irrevocable determination to renounce the throne for myself and my descendants, and my desire that that effect should be given to this instrument of abdication immediately. In token whereof, I have here unto set my hand this 10th day of December, 1936, in the presence of the witnesses whose signatures are subscribed. Edward R.I. Okay? These were the witnesses at Fort Belvedere, Albert, Henry, and George. Okay. 10th of December, 1936. Remember that. Very important date. De Valera said, there's no king. We don't need a Governor General. So they passed then the Constitution Amendment Act number 27 of 1936. Okay? Right. So basically it says here, they're going to amend the Free State Constitution and basically cut out the King and the Governor General to sign bills, and they're going to sign the bill themselves. This actually was, in my mind, the first time that the Irish Free State became a completely free state, independent of the Crown's trappings. So it says here in the schedule, and people can look this up, in the amendment, what they're doing is 2A, deletion in subsection 2 of the words Governor General acting on the advice of. He's gone. Obukla from Naas was gone, no longer Governor General. Deletion of the words King. Okay? Deletion of the words representative of the Crown in the name of the King. And the substitution thereof of the words Chairman of Dáil under direction and writing of the Executive Council, signed by the President of the Executive. So in other words, this created the power for De Valera to sign this act. And you see here, I've copied it. It says here, history of this act. This bill has been signed into law by the President. So this was the first time Ireland, as a nation, became free of the trappings of the crown. This was a brilliant legal move. Okay? Bear this in mind, because what I'm telling you is, I wrote this because loads of people sent messages to me, what can we do about this, Pat? Right? I've taken the ball on the hop now because the organs are not established and saying the people can do this. In other words, doing exactly the same thing what De Valera did. Okay? So he got rid of the executive authority. He got rid of received the king's assent, representative of the crown, and so on and so on. Okay? So, then, the following day, on the 12th of December, they passed this, what was known as the Executive Authority External Relations Act, 1936. Again, the bill has been signed into law by the President. So they recited the abdication here, and what they did was saying to the rest of the world that, first of all, they would appoint their own consular representatives. No longer did the Crown have to say so as to who was going to be appointed to represent Ireland in other forums, other nations. They did the same thing in relation to making treaties, and the same thing, it's all recited in here. And immediately on the passing of this act, the instrument of abdication executed by His Majesty King Edward VIII on the 10th of December, a copy whereof is set out in the schedule, shall effect according to the tenor thereof, and His said Majesty shall, for the purposes of the foregoing subsection of this section, and all other, if any purposes, cease to be king. And the king, for those purposes, shall henceforth be the person who, if His said Majesty had died on the 10th of December, 1936, unmarried, would, for the time being, be his successor under the law of Sorsted Aaron. So, that was, on that day, this became the law, and that was game over as regards...
Okay, now I have me thinking again. So if we go back to...
no, I'm going to finish now.
Okay, go on.
I'm going to stop now at that. Okay.